Hi everyone, Roger, Universal Accounting Center. I'm actually going to be visiting today face to face with Lisa Shumway from Infinity Tax Solutions. And this is going to be interesting because normally we do our webinars where you're at a different site, a remote site, and here I am local. Well, we happen to be near one another, so Lisa decided to come into the office and we're actually redesigning a room. So the walls are freshly painted, and we're going to do this actual webinar here in this room here today. So this discussion is meant to be just really kind of a highlight of you, kind of a spotlight on you and your experiences, because I'd like to have everyone here actually learn a little bit about Lisa and what she's experienced as she's gotten into the accounting profession and really had the journey that you have. So real quickly, kind of share what drew you to accounting. What got you started into the accounting profession in tax?
Well, and actually, I didn't start out that way. I started out, my degree was finance and investing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I finished my degree and went out to the workforce, I found that I really hated it.
Uh-oh. You gotta hate it when you go through all that and you end up hating what you ended up pursuing as a career.
Exactly. So one of the classes I had to take for my degree was tax.
Okay.
And so I saw an ad in the paper for a local company and went and took their class. And then from there, I got hired on, and it took off from there.
Now, when you found yourself transitioning, you obviously were leaning towards finance, you took the tax class, got into taxes, found employment.
Yes.
What did you like about the job?
Really nothing. It was so long ago. It was back before the internet, before everything. They basically handed you a phone book and said, have at it, start calling people, cold call, and try and find your customer base.
You realize we're dating ourselves here. We brought out phone books.
That is true.
So all of those things I can relate to. Now, was this the tax business or the finance business?
This was the finance.
Yeah.
So when
you got into taxes, though, what was it that you liked about the taxes?
Numbers.
Numbers. Give me an example. What did you like about the numbers?
Making things equal, adding, subtracting, dividing, multiplying, all those things, and then coming up with, ultimately a refund in most cases.
Yeah. Well, obviously,
like
it's basic math that we're talking about here.
It
It's
is.
not exactly you're doing trigonometry,
No.
calculus, algebra.
No.
It's basic math. And with regards to
Exactly.
tax, it's kind of nice to be able to give people back refunds, to be able to be that
It
bearer
is.
of good news of
It is.
you've overpaid in taxes and you should have been earning the interest all along, but here you go anyway. So it's a
Yes.
nice little gift.
It is.
And a lot of people do look forward to it. And it's kind of like the belated Christmas present of sorts, because you don't know what you're going to get necessarily, and you're waited. What's that state or federal tax refund?
That is right.
So when you started to do tax, obviously you do this for a number of years. What got you to the point of wanting to start your own business?
Well, the company I work for started out as a franchise. Later on, they moved to corporate. And once they hit corporate, everything went kaplooey.
Uh-oh.
It was just really the demand. They wanted you in and out with your customers. 15, 20 minutes, get out here. You're supposed to already have them paid and out the door, and they're supposed to be happy. And yet, when people were leaving the company because they weren't happy, it was my fault, and I should have done better service, but I still was only allowed a very short amount of time.
So two things. One, this unnamed, unsaid company is a
Correct.
large national company.
It is.
And as a company, you went from a franchise to the corporate, and in that you got kind of caught up in the corporate world. And if I'm not mistaken, you were an office manager of one of the branches.
I was for a number of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you found yourself in a situation of saying, I don't like at the grassroots level how this is going, the customer experience and the interactions that we're having with customers.
That's
So
right.
all of a sudden you felt then, I could do this better. I think I can do this on my own. And you saw others do this.
Absolutely, we did.
And as you saw the others do it, I think that, if I'm not mistaken, you then said, kind of drew you to say, why not me, right?
Yes. So the final 2 years that I worked for them, the demand was so bad, and the way we were being treated just continued to change and was so bad that I didn't want to go to work anymore. I didn't enjoy my job anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that means something. It's important to me to at least get something out of a job. And so we chose, a group of us actually left the company all at the same time, and we opened our own branch of our own company.
Now, when you started this, obviously this is kind of stepping outside of your comfort zone. This is new.
Oh,
Obviously,
my gosh,
you've had
yeah.
this career, and here you are starting your own business. What was it like to start your own business?
It was really scary. Trying to figure out the things that were already prepared for you from a corporate company versus what you have to do on your own. The IT, oh my gosh, getting the programs, getting the computer set up, getting everything to run right, getting every piece all set up, one thing after another. It was a lot, and so much more than we ever thought. Even deciding on a name for the company and a logo. It was a lot to
That's
do.
right. That's right. It's amazing. All those little things start to add up. And when you're looking at the company name, you've got business partners. You obviously have things that need to be in place to have an office, where to be, how to work. So all those things. It's now been a few years.
Yes.
What would you say to someone who is starting their business now?
Well, for a tax business, I think you need to first start out with a plan. So you need to write things down, what you think you need to do, and how you're going to accomplish those things. Because that was the thing. 6 months into it, we hadn't started a season. We were just putting things into place. And we're still finding, uh-oh, we forgot this. Uh-oh, we forgot that. And even 2 years later, there was one item that we had thought we had done a good job with, that we turned around and found out it was really a bad thing. And not that it hurt our customers ever, but it was really a bad thing for us, and we had to revamp that whole thing. And say, okay, now we're right. And keep going.
So if you had a chance to speak to yourself, your past self, who a few years ago started the business, what would you say to yourself then?
Double check everything and never rely on someone that tells you, oh, this is it. This will take care of you. Double check it with somebody else that also works in that same field. For us, it was the insurance side of things. And so we should have had somebody else look at the policy right from the beginning.
I'm assuming you're referring to the errors and omissions insurance.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So that's obviously some great advice that you give to yourself, saying, okay, it's good. Now, I've asked this question of a number of other people, and many times what they say is, in the end, it's worth it. So their advice to themselves was, you know what, after all of this, it is worth it. Would you say that to yourself?
Absolutely. I'm so much happier. I'm building business for myself. I get the money I bring in. I don't have to give it all to the company and they turn around and give me a little tiny pittance saying, oh, you should be happy. No, I wasn't happy with the little tiny thing. And so now I get to do that. I get to decide everything. I get to decide if their fees are too high, I can lower them. If they need more time with me, I can choose to give them more time. If they need me off season, I can do that. Those things were not allowed when I was somewhere else.
Very good. Now, with regards to having partners, what could you share about that? Because you've got some other women that you work with.
I do. I think the most important thing with that is to actually go together, talk about how you want everything to go. And I mean, right down to the nitty gritty, because everything matters.
And everybody has an opinion.
They do. So how we distribute clients, how we take phone calls, how we even, when we clean, who's cleaning, how we deal with the stuff in the fridge. All these things actually matter, because if you don't work this out, you end up fighting and arguing about stupid stuff.
Sounds like you're living with someone is what it turns out.
It does. It is. Because, with our business, you are at the office sometimes from 6 a.m. in the morning till 3 or 4 a.m. the next day, and you're with people constantly.
What I was going to say is, it's oftentimes that you're with these individuals far more than you are with your family members.
Absolutely.
So it does bring in those same characteristics of who's going to wash the windows and who's going to take out the garbage, who's going to shut the door. I get that.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the tax business itself. Obviously, you're doing well, you're growing.
Yes.
One of the things that I would really have some curiosity to is, do you focus more on individual returns or more on business returns?
We actually do a wide mix.
Okay.
I specialize more in individual with a smaller smattering, I don't know what you want to call it, of the business and corporate and trusts and stuff like that.
Good.
So the bulk of my business, I'd probably say 80% is personal. and the other 20% is the rest. The other girls, they came from a different kind of office than I did, and so they actually are probably more 60% personal, 40% business type stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And regarding your business, is there a particular niche or focus that you have in what you offer?
I think more than anything that you know that you're getting local services, that you're supporting a local company rather than a corporate and stockholders, and that we are willing to spend whatever time we need with you. That's my ultimate goal. If you need more time with me, I'd rather do that. And sometimes, all it takes is older people especially, they're lonely. And sometimes they just want a few extra minutes of your time to tell you something about their day. And it makes them so much happier. And they come back year after year after year because you're willing to do that for them.
And one of the things that I think is very evident in what she's sharing is the fact that this is ultimately a people business. As much as we're drawn to this because it's numbers and it makes sense and we obviously get paid well, the bigger part of it is the fact that to have recurring clients, you have to build relationships with them. Oftentimes these people are trusting us with their personal finance information that no one else knows. So this isn't necessarily what mom and dad know or brothers and sisters know.
Yeah.
This is stuff that you're the only individual that may know what they made last year other than the spouse. So that's kind of important, right?
That is true.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'd like to then focus on is with regards to your business, what would you say to a peer who also has a thriving tax business? What advice would you have for them?
Well, just to keep and maintain your integrity in the whole thing. Don't let things start sliding. Don't start doing the easy way. Keep up with exactly the way you want your business to be.
Good.
So that people will continue to come and be happy.
Excellent. Now, with the coming years, do you see anything that captures your attention? Is there anything you see on the horizon that's going to affect the accounting or tax industry?
I think the biggest thing I'm wondering about is the change of presidency. Because this president that we have right now, good, bad, or indifferent, has made a lot of changes to our tax law. And a lot of people hate it, a lot of people love it. And you have to wonder if it changes, from Republican to Democrat, what's the next step going to be? And I think it probably will have some changes. What they'll be, I don't know.
You don't know. Well, the nice thing about tax is the fact that it's not our tax law that we're enforcing.
Exactly.
Whether or not people owe taxes isn't what we've decided. It's not because we had any say in the matter. We're just the bearers of the information.
Exactly.
Somebody else decided the rules. We're just telling you what it is that you're going to have to comply with. But your point is valid, and the nice part about that is I would consider that job security. It's the fact that each and every year, the reason why people don't do their own taxes is because this is something that changes regularly, and you're the professional. You're the one that's supposed to know what they can take advantage of to pay the least tax liability that they need to. And so for that very reason, it's kind of like these changes are your job security.
That is true. And so many times people try and start a return on their own. Oh, I can do it. It's easy. And then they go, I have no idea if this is right, wrong, or indifferent. Or someone comes in and, I owe thousands of dollars. How can that happen? And you fix it or you do it to begin with, and say, nope, you missed this, and this. And that's the problem with programming. All it knows how to do is what you type into it.
Garbage in, garbage out.
That's right. And if you come to somebody, how many hours this year alone, I think I've taken 43 hours of continuing education. And that is a long way to a program that you type in yes, no.
That's right. Now, here's something else that's quite interesting is in the tax industry, there's this saying that there's nothing more certain than death and taxes. And that's kind of fun because what's interesting is you die once, but you pay taxes again and again and again. And the tax opportunity in offering tax services even extends beyond death. So you've got a lot of people that with the states and so forth trust, they're paying taxes after they've passed on. I mean,
That's
I've
right.
actually heard and truly believe that Michael Jackson's paying more dead than he ever did alive in taxes.
I believe that.
So that's something that's, Elvis still pays taxes. These things are fascinating, and it just gives you a greater sense of opportunity that exists when you work in taxes. So here's a question. Obviously, you've been involved with Universal Accounting. You've
Yes.
taken the Universal Tax Preparer Program. What advice would you have for anyone regarding tax training? You brought up CPEs and so forth.
Yeah, never be compliant with what you know. There's so much out there. Taking another class, taking another course, taking a seminar, whatever you can. I highly recommend you keep up, do more, do more, do more, because it's only going to help you in the end.
Yep, it only comes down to two things, confidence and competence. If you're confident about what you're doing, you're going to be able to get the clientele because they see that you're the expert. The second thing is competence. It's one thing to be able to do a valid tax return and do it correctly. It's another thing to do it efficiently and effectively so that you're profitable with the time that you're working on it versus what you're getting paid. You want to make this a worthwhile business, worth your time and energy. So with your experience and background, what advice would you give to someone? They're starting, building their own tax business. What advice would you have for them?
Again, just take it step by step and continue to go forward and make sure that you do the best job you possibly can because it will reflect on you in the future. So you don't want to someone come in and you think, that's easy, and not ask them the questions, not do a good job, and find out later that you did a really bad tax return for them. They spread that around really fast. And so you want to make sure that you just do everything as good as you possibly can all of the time.
Yep, it's interesting. The ratio is typically 10-1. You do one bad thing, 10 people learn about it. You do 10 good things, one person learns about it. So the
Yes.
ratio just
Yes.
gets really messed up there.
It
So
does.
I think what you've done is amazing. Both you and the other ladies building the tax business that you have, going out there on your own, establishing your tax business. This has been something that you're obviously proud of. You're doing a great job, and it only grows year after year after year. And I realize that there are those challenges that we all face as we start and build our businesses. But
yeah.
again, it's worth it.
It was definitely worth it.
There you go. So just remember this. If it's about accounting and tax, it is universal. I appreciate you for listening in, and thank you, Lisa, for coming here to share your
bet.
story. This is fun. So take care. Everybody have a great day. And remember this. If it's about accounting, it is universal. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.